Hi, everyone, and welcome to STOked. This is episode 113 of the ultimate Star Trek online podcast. My name is Chris, and good morning to everybody in the jblive.tv chat room who's joined me to rock out today's live featured episode and is here to hang out in the chat room with the community. Look at those guys go. Well, we got a fun episode this week. Coming up, it's a chat with Daniel Stahl. I'll ask him what it's like to return as the executive producer and what challenges he faces now. I've also got questions about the leveling in STO. Does he feel like maybe it's too fast and we've got too many VAs at the top of the game? I'm also going to try to pump him for some future KDF content teases and updates to the Foundry. But before that, it's Tactical View, and I'm going to review this week's mission, Facility 4028. Faculty 4028, I think, would be more about a classroom, maybe a Starfleet Academy mission in the future. Also, I've gotten some updates directly from the developers about things that'll be coming up in that mission with a future patch. New stuff is going to be added to that mission later on, so I'll tell you about that. And in community feedback, Mav's back on, and we're going to talk a little bit about STF feedback we've gotten, plus some big information about next week. We're going to do a big community feedback on STFs, and also the results of our poll, as well as some exploits that Mav has been informed about thanks to you guys, and most of which have already been stomped on by the cryptic devs. So we'll tell you about those, and we'll ask, are they really fixed? And we'll leave that up to you guys. But I don't have much to cover this week before we get rolling. We'll do Tactical View next. But before we jump into Tactical View, I just want to let you know that this show is supported by the viewers. If you would like to support STOked and Jupiter Broadcasting in general, if you visit jupiterbroadcasting.com, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of our website, all the way down to the very, very bottom, you will find links where if you purchase at Amazon US, UK, Newegg, ThinkGeek, Best Buy, or if you want to get a mint.com account, which is free, or get an Audible book, which I love, if you click those links before you shop, you will support us. It'll automatically tag your shopping session to give credit to Jupiter Broadcasting. Also, if you're a Chrome browser user, we now have a Chrome extension thanks to a couple of great guys in our IRC chat room. If you install that into Chrome, it will automatically tag every shopping item you have at those sites listed there, and you don't even have to think about it, and just a small percentage of your purchase supports STOked. It doesn't even cost you anything more. It's just kind of a nice way to give us something when you're getting something. So thanks to everybody who does that. All right, let's get in to Tactical View. Welcome to Tactical View. So this week we play Facility 4028. And just like all of the previous featured episode series that we've seen, almost every time there's one mission that introduces a new ground set that sets the bar. And that was the facility this week. I am really impressed with this map. Not only is it massively huge and expansive, but there's the cool holographic walkways, the holographic guards that are throughout the entire thing, which makes sense maybe in the future that they might use holograms instead of real guards. Flip-out consoles added a nice little polish, and I really felt like this entire map felt like a prison in the future. Also, the devs were in the chat room during the live playthrough teasing us with the fact this is very likely a candidate to become a future PvP map. And man, could you imagine something like Capture the Flag or, I don't know, some other great kind of ground combat that you just can fire up anytime you want in a map this epic? That could be a ton of fun. The overall consensus was after we played it that it was a bit short, that people felt like it lacked some extra things to do. The devs also confirmed in the chat room that in the future, probably in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be accolades added to this mission, and also some class-specific things for science and tactical and engineering. I'll say, though, overall, I actually kind of like the pace of the mission, and with the addition of our blue guidelines coming back, which we've seen in the past, it's very easy to find your way around this map, and as a whole team, that's a great tool to work together so you don't have people running off in the wrong direction. Another note is if you find the mission a little short, I'm told, although I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to do it, I'm told that if you stop and chat with the prisoners, you can get a lot of interesting Trek lore, as well as some sneak peeks of stuff that's to come in the future. At the end, you're met with a great cutscene. It's got a very fast-paced moving cutscene. It reminds me a lot of some scenes from Deep Space Nine, to be honest with you. I would have, in a dream world, I would have loved to have been able to actually participate a little more in those cutscenes, sort of like we have in the past. Maybe even engage in some of the combat, but nonetheless, we do see this destruction of a well-known ship, and We also see the possible destruction of another well-known ship. A lot of things happen in just a brief moment, and some good cutting between different bridges and different characters. I thought overall, even though I wanted to be a little more interactive, it was still a really great cutscene. Probably the thing to take the most notices of, as at least something you're going to be able to use in your future missions, is at the end you have a couple of different reward options. You get doffs regardless of which one you pick, and there's something to note there. You get a Vorted doff, and that Vorted doff, once you assign him as an active duty officer, can actually replicate Tetracell White. Now, one of your rewards in this mission is a Jemadar buff. That Jemadar buff can take advantage of the Tetracell White, and it gives him like extra hit points and 10% to maximum damage boost or something like that. It's a good little boost to have, and I think it lasts for about a half hour, so that's kind of a nice combo there. Also, the last bit in the ground set for the Jemadar ground set is in this mission. So my advice is this: play it once through, like you likely already have. Grab the piece of gear you want the most right away. I grabbed the last ground set because I wanted to complete the set. Then when they add the accolades and they add the career-specific stuff, go back and play it again and grab whichever piece you didn't get to complete the whole thing. And honestly, it might consider it to be a lot longer after they add the accolades and the other career-specific things. But right now, for me, the shorter length of this mission makes it more likely for me to replay it, to be honest, because I know that there's just a certain amount of time that I have available to replay old missions that I've already played once before, and a shorter one is more likely for me to play. So I think some of the long-term things we're going to see from this, like the PvP map possibilities, or things getting into the Foundry, the things the Foundry authors could do with this map could entertain us for ages. And then also that new DOF is I like, even though it's not a direct interaction with the DOF system, it's still a nod to the DOF system in the mission, and that's awesome. So overall, I give it a thumbs up. I'd say these last two are my favorite in the set so far. Tell you though, we've seen some teasers for next week's featured episode, and I don't know. It looks like from the screenshots we might be walking outside of Deep Space Nine, or at least there's going to be some cutscenes taking place out there. I cannot wait to play through that one. You can join me live over jblive.tv. Essentially, these featured episodes go live at 10 a.m., and then about 10-15 minutes after that, I'm on the stream, and we're playing through it. And it's a great community to join. There's lots of people in the IRC chat room. Often we have devs in there, and people are also playing along and have questions. So be sure to join us over at jblive.tv. Just roughly after the featured episode goes live, you can catch us. All right. Well, that's Tactical You for this week's episode. Let's go chat with Daniel Stahl. And I'm excited to say we've got Daniel Stahl on the line, the returning EP of Star Trek Online, and it's been a while since we've chatted with Dan. So Dan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Now, of course, I've got a whole list of questions. We've got a lot of popular topics, and I've also heard from a lot of people out there that have questions for you. So I've tried to distill them into some quick ones that we can go through and kind of cover some of the big stuff. But the first one I want to start with is sort of this return of being the EP. Can you kind of give me an example of some of the, or your thoughts on some of the challenges that you faced now and how they're different now? Like, what kind of barriers do you see ahead of you now that maybe you didn't have before, or what barriers have been cleared out that you think are kind of opening up the pathway for you to sort of blaze ahead now?
Well, that's a great question, and I can't praise Stephen D'Angelo enough. Has been a little bit of a challenge to try and say, okay, well, I know where he wanted to take the game,
right, and
where do I want to take the game? Where does the team want to take the game?
Well, and what about the fact that expectations have been set by you and then by him, and now they're going to be set by you again amongst the player base? Is that sort of a line that you feel not only is tight to walk, but sort of restricts some of the things you might be able to do because now there's been certain expectations set?
That's a great journalistic type question there. It's I look at, I feel like I'm being interviewed by the New York Times now. It's great.
Thanks, Dad.
I think the meat of it is this, right? And I get where you're going with the question, that when previous to my departure, I was talking about our mid to long term goals, things like star bases, things like the KDF content, things like factions, and how do we get to Romulans, and
right,
and how do we introduce guild advancement, all of these sort of features that were in the long term mindset for me were really long term thoughts and ideas that we were really trying to understand. What does it take for our development cycles to get us to those points? you throw free to play and all the tasks. I mean, there was just an enormous amount of work to make the game work for free to play. And it's not just technical. There's a lot of, you saw all the changes that sort of happened to the game, releveling content, moving episodes into a linear progression. I mean, there's so much things. The game had to almost, in essence, be redone.
Yeah, it was a big change.
So when he came in and, it was unclear if I was coming back, he really wanted to, I think, say, well, here's where we're at, and here's what we need for free to play, and here's what the game is. And I can't really speak to what his long-term goals were, but he certainly had a really strong short-term goals plan of this is what we need to do next. And so I think where I'm at right now is, do I agree with this? Does the team agree with this? Is this what the game needs right now? Is this what the players want right now? And just trying to validate those things. And for the most part, it's spot on. And I'm just trying to course correct based on the data that we have now coming back from free to play.
Gotcha. Well, why don't we kind of go, since you brought up content and things like that. So the featured episodes have launched, and the last episode that was just out was a big hit. But I've noticed sort of a trend. Jupiter Force is kind of a bigger fleet out there, so I think we can kind of take the pulse of a lot of different elements of the community. But I also hear from a lot of people out there who contact the show, and I've noticed two camps primarily. It seems to be that there's a lot of new players out there who seem to be really passionate about some of the, you could almost say, newer elements added to the game. The Borg encounters, the scheduled events at Starfleet Academy and things like that. And I'm hearing from a lot of them that the featured episodes are something they're planning to play once they're completed. Now, to be honest with you, Dan, that was the 180 of what my expectations were. I thought that these featured episodes would be bringing these guys in the door. So I'm curious, is there anything you can share with me about how that's looking out from your side? Are these featured episodes bringing in new free-to-play players, or are you finding that that's only a part of the attraction for them? It's kind of like what I'm seeing.
I think your observation's pretty spot on. I don't have all the data yet, but we are looking at at sort of what people are doing with the featured, how they're engaging with the featured episodes. And you make a really good observation. The observation is everyone was starved for something new, and this was a fun way to consume new content. Now, fast forward to free to play. Now, for new people coming in, there's a lot of episode content, especially since we've sort of strung it together and streamlined it. Most people are getting to max level without having finished all the episodes, right?
Yeah, right.
And so I understand when I hear people say, I'm not going to play those yet. I'm going to wait till I get to that sector and play that content, because it makes sense with how the game's organized now. So we're seeing a lot of different behavior in terms of how people consume that content. So when I think of, what does that mean for featured episodes in the future, we're trying to understand that. What does that mean? Is it really having the bang for the buck that we could be getting out of something else, right? Should we be making more red alerts? Should we be making more fleet actions? I mean, it's obvious we need to be making more content in general. Absolutely. These featured episodes, you see how long it takes for us to make them, and they're huge undertakings, and this one series has been under development for months, and are we spending too much time? Maybe I don't know. That's one of the questions I have to ask myself. I certainly want to advance the story. I certainly want to see more mission content, more story content in the game. But are we spending our dollars wisely? Those are questions that we're asking ourselves, and that's your observation. I mean, it's not having the exact same effect as it used to.
So. I guess. Why don't we kind of pick up from there? Because you'd mentioned content to the game, and I know that it sounded like I kind of got the vibe from your Ask Cryptic that it seemed like you're going to be a little more conservative about long-term projections. But if you'll indulge me, I do have a couple of questions about longer-term goals in the game. And Dan, it's kind of funny. It seems like some of these old questions have been around for a long time. One of the number one questions players asked me about long-term content was, is there any details you can share on future sector space revamps? In fact, one of the things people brought up is now with some of these new engines in the game, you can really haul across sector space, and it almost kind of seems like they're becoming a little irrelevant. And I'm wondering if there's any discussions internally about what might happen with sector space.
So expanding the gameplay space and adding more sectors, I absolutely want to do. And I've got stuff drawn up on my whiteboard, which I'm not showing you right now, which talks a little bit to that. when we do it and how we do it, I'm not going to get into the habit of trying to promise things and say it's going to be out by then, because I've learned my lesson from that.
Okay.
But I will say, we recognize that the game needs more content, and more specifically, the vast majority of players are at max level. And so what are those players being challenged to do? I don't think the answer is necessarily, well, here, go run the STFs at level 55. That's not the right answer. So the right answer is there needs to be new content. There needs to be new places to explore. There needs to be something new to fight. There needs to be some new challenges. So how do we get there?
Is it a problem that so many of your players are at level cap, and is it time to look at the rate of level progression and see if it's turned up too high, or is that intended? Is that okay? Are you guys comfortable with it?
We monitor it, absolutely. We get daily reports on sort of the leveling speed and the leveling curve. We have email reports that come out to us, and we look at those. We currently are not that concerned about the rate of leveling, simply because casual free-to-play crowd is very different than a long-term crowd. So we're trying to find the happy medium to where someone who normally only engages with a game for a month or two and then moves on to something else can experience the game and not feel like they have to make a long-term investment or commitment in order to enjoy Star Trek. Now, that said, we also have some very long-term committed players, gold members, lifetime members, who have been with the game for a long time. So finding the balance there between leveling speed and fun is something we're absolutely consumed with discussing right now.
Okay.
And trying to understand, is there a level cap that needs to go up? Is there some sort of fleet advancement or some sort of alternate progression? I mean, those are all the ideas we're discussing on a daily basis since I've returned to ZP.
Well, that sounds good. And I saw you were addressing questions like PvP enhancements and things like that. In fact, you threw something out in the Ask Cryptic that I kind of wanted to ask you what you meant by that. But you said there is I believe the term you used was strike team working on PvP content. Is that sort of a fun way of saying people on the Neverwinters project are also working on PvP, and you think there's some code you can backport to STO, or is that am I interpreting that wrong?
Kind of what you just said. So there was a strike team here that was making a PvP game, and part of that, I can't say what it is or what it was, but PvP was a very huge component of it. And in order to do that, they had to make a lot of changes to the engine, and they made some great enhancements. And having played the prototype that they built, it's fun and it's really awesome. And it's not earth-shattering changing, but it's just everything works the way you expect it to work. And what it does is it allows you to very quickly build things like PvP maps and game types. Like you can quickly build quickly build a capture the flag kind of map.
Nice.
It makes it easy to build that content. Every time we've made a PvP map on Star Trek, it's been a very laborious process because we have to do it in a very painstaking way. So the hope is that by having that technology built into the engine, when we merge up to that code branch, we will now inherit the ability to take our existing PvP maps and move them over to this architecture, which allows things like different types of objective PvP to be very easy for us to retrofit. Okay. So we can take something like Shantytown and quickly turn it into a capture the flag map. I mean, I'd love to see that happen.
Yeah.
And so just that kind of stuff is the kind of thing I was referring to.
Okay. Well, I've got two kind of looking out questions for you, two wrap-up questions, and why don't we, sort of along the same lines of what you're just talking about there, let's just take a brief moment and talk about the Foundry. Now, is it true that you were working on the Foundry before you stepped up to the EP role again?
Yes, when I returned from my stint at Zynga, which I enjoyed, one of the reasons I was up there is I moved to San Francisco, which is a beautiful city, and absolutely love it, and I still live there now. But when I came back to Cryptic Studios, I went back to work on Neverwinter. And one of the goals I had on Neverwinter was working directly on how does what we built in the Foundry work for Dungeons and Dragons. And so I was working directly with the Foundry team to sort of make sure that the features that we had coming down the pipe not only made it awesome for Neverwinter, but were things that also made sense for Star Trek. So,
okay.
So for example, if you take the concept of campaigns, In as a dungeon master, I run campaigns, and each one of my module goes into my game world. And when every time I get the guys over to have a D&D night, we're having yet another adventure in my game world, my campaign. So having that really as a concept in the Foundry was something I was very keen on. Mm-hmm. And when you think about it, that's what I'm hinting at when I say that. Wouldn't it be cool if Foundry authors could set up their own featured episode series, stringing together missions, and here's the order in which you play my episodes, and here's the story I'm trying to tell?
I think that would be very welcome because, I notice a lot of Foundry authors out there are doing multi-parts, and you just have to kind of search and find the various parts in the right order. So that would be something that I think the community would really like. Well, that's really cool. Any other tips with the Foundry?
So the other thing someone had mentioned is I really think having the ability to subscribe to authors so that whenever they make an update or post something new, you get alerted to it. So that hey, I've updated this mission, or I just added something new. Go play it. Right? It really allows you to sort of build a following for your content, so that way people don't have to constantly be searching for did this person do something new. I think that's another big thing. Yeah. But a lot of what we were looking at, the team that's working in that branch that we're moving up to that has all this Foundry content has done so many improvements to the editor that you might not even recognize it anymore.
Oh, cool!
In terms of all the little nice to have features.
That'd be cool.
So I'm really looking forward to it. There's some really fun stuff, and like I said, we've got a software engineer here really dedicated to porting over as much of that code into Star Trek.
That's awesome.
And then hooking up assets so that it works with all those new systems.
That's awesome. I really think the Foundry, the featured episodes have been fun and things like that, but they'll come to an end at some point, and the Foundry seems like it's such a key thing. So that sounds really good. But I do have another. I think this will be the last question. Then I'll open the floor. Anything you want to bring up, but I gotta ask, or else everybody's gonna give me a hard time. But is there anything you can share regarding upcoming KDF content or changes or anything regarding KDF that the players out there might be interested in?
Well, sure. I mean, first of all, I'll give some stats and say we're still in the chicken egg problem of, the number of Klingon characters is still far below Fed characters, and rightfully so. There will always be less people playing Klingon than Federation. I think there's a lot of spreadsheets saying, well, if we build this content and this,
right, you can reach X audience, but if you build it for that, you only reach Y audience, and it's not as appealing for your time.
And does it pay for the development cost of making that content? And,
right.
And trying to get everyone to agree on that plan is where we're at, right? So trying to say, no, this is what makes sense. If we build this content, we add this stuff, then this is the return on that investment, and just trying to convince people that it works. And it's not an easy thing to do. So that's why I'm not talking a whole lot about it, and I'm not trying to set expectations either way, saying, you're not going to see any Klingon content till next year. I'm not setting that expectation. You might see Klingon content before then.
Okay.
I just don't know.
All right, that's fair. I guess I would say, I guess that did bring up the next thing as well. At what point do you think you'll be talking more publicly about some of the firmer features for Season 6? Because I think, as the featured episodes wrap up, that's probably going to be some of the next few questions people will have is, when do you think we'll start seeing you guys talk more about what we're gonna have available?
I think you'll see a hint of it in engineering report coming out in March.
Okay.
But it's not going to have a lot of details. Once we get past March and into the April Ask Cryptic, you'll see me start to talk a lot more about exactly what we're doing. And obviously we'll leak things when we can, but we're in the process of making sure that everyone is on the right schedule to deliver these features, figure out exactly when that release is. Is it June? Is it before June? Is it after June? What exactly is that time frame?
Right.
And a lot of that is depending on the feature set, the priorities that what we end up delivering, and saying this is what we're going to deliver. That adjusts that date. So once I have a firm idea of what that is, you'll hear me start talking about it. But
cool.
Nothing in the next 2 to 3.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. Well, Dan, is there anything you want to touch on before we wrap up?
No, I want to say that it's great to be back. I really enjoy being on Star Trek online. It's a wonderful property, and just seeing the amount of enthusiasm on the team, seeing the number of people in game, it's really a lot of fun for me to log in on my dev account and see people in game and get just hundreds of PMs a minute. It's so much fun.
I know how you feel on that one.
It's really kind of cool. But
well,
I really
plus you wanted to come on the show again. I mean, let's be honest. I know what the truth is. Yeah,
absolutely. Wanted to be on the show again. So I'm really happy to be back, and I really can't stress enough. We're trying to learn from the past and look to the future. And my long-term vision for this game is grandiose and amazing, and I came back because I wanted to do it, right? Like I had to do some soul searching and say, am I in for the long haul? I really did this.
Right.
And I'm ready. I signed up to do it. Let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's make this game as awesome as it possibly can be, and however many years that takes, we're going to do it.
Right on. Well, Dan, thanks for coming on and chatting with us, and I look forward to talking with you in the future.
Thanks a lot.
And welcome to Community Feedback. It's been a couple episodes since we got to do this, and we've gotten lots of feedback from you guys, so we've brought on Mav, leader of Jupiter Force and keeper of the STOked feedback. Welcome back, Mav.
Thank you for having me back.
So I know we've got all kinds of different topics we want to cover this week. Some of them involve STFs. I've also got the results from our polls, and I know you've got a lot of emails, so do you want to kick us off what we're covering and what we're talking about in this segment?
Okay. First, I want to kick off by saying we got a lot of emails regarding STFs, STF loot drops, and loot tables. There was a lot of research done into it, and recently, Gozer had put a post on the forums. I'm going to hold off talking about it because I happen to get the opportunity that Gozer's going to be available to be interviewed next week, and we're going to break open the whole loot table and loot drop thing.
Okay.
The post is available on the Stowe forums if you want to read it now. The link will be in the show notes. If you want to just kind of take a look at it and see what was finally released to us, so that we can see why there have been possible issues, or actually, it's not really issues. It's an explanation as to why the drops have been. And what the loot tables are for both elite and normal STFs. But I want to get touch base with Gozer directly, so this way we can get it right from the source.
Okay.
There's no more questions. We'll get it all right out there.
So I guess that's actually a good opportunity if people have gotten a chance to read Gozer's posts and want to try to get a question in during our interview with him. Email it stoked@jupiterbroadcasting.com, and if we get some of those, we'll try to make sure those get included in what we bounce off Gozer. That's cool.
Right.
That's a good opportunity to do that.
So that aside, I'm excited about that for next week. We're going to discuss the emails I did get, and I did get a few of them because I had asked the community, send us your exploits, send us your bugs, things you're seeing, things that may not be working as intended. We're going to research them, pull them out. I've got 3 that were brought up, and at the time before we aired, when we originally got the emails, they weren't fixed. However, as of airing, they have been fixed or have already been patched, or our work is already in progress to repair them.
Okay.
The first one was a Kittimer Accord exploit, the 3-piece bonus set for Mako, where the gear provides a heavy graviton beam ability. Players were using this to target nanite generators and transformers in the Kittimer Accord STF and allow the gateways to be destroyed before everything else. It made the optional extremely easy to achieve with very minimal effort. A recent patch has already gone to holodeck and is supposed to have negated this trick. What we are asking is let us know if it's still exploitable or if there's a variant that's still being used. But as far as we know, that has been fixed.
Okay.
Also, there was a PvP concern. The hybrid plasma disruptor from the past imperfect mission was super OP. It was like proccing at 10% higher than it should have. That has also been fixed. We were seeing it was able to outdo Mark 12 purple weaponry. That has been fixed and I believe a patch is already in place for that.
That's fast. These guys are they're moving these days.
We're getting these emails, and we're trying to get them out to Cryptic as quick as we can, so that we can get the information out there. And as soon as it's something that we can prove is duplicatable, we file it, we let them have it, and then they go in and tear in it to get it fixed. Also, we are aware. I believe it still exists. It hasn't been fixed yet, but it's in progress. STF store errors, whether it be spelling errors, pricing errors, wrong marks in the wrong place. The STF stores are preparing to get reworked or at least repaired, so that they are more in line with what's supposed to be there.
Oh, okay. That might be something we can ping Gozer about next week too, and kind of get some details.
I don't have all the details on what exactly is wrong with the STF store, but I've been getting mixed reports that this is wrong, that's wrong. The dilithium stores in general, like Jeremy said on the live stream there, they're all getting reworked. So you could thank Cryptic Bort there for heading up the fight on that one. Again, they call him Tron for a reason. He does the best he can to fight for us. I'd like to give credit for the emails that have come in to TSI Fleet, the Spanish Inquisition, most notably at Zarina.
Cool.
Thank you for your emails, as well as Starwolf and Daniel Trainer. We appreciate the emails. I definitely appreciate the emails, because they give us something to dig into, to sink our teeth into, to figure out what can we fix to make this game better. And again, we want your emails. Now, like we said at the beginning of Comm Feedback, in regards to the loot drops for STFs, let us know what you think. If you get a chance to take a look at his post, look at it, tell us what you think. If you have questions for Gozer that we can fit, I'll ask him. It's that simple.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask a whole bunch of far-fetched questions about things that are off topic.
Oh, come on, man. That's the most fun.
I know that's the most fun. I may throw a few squeakers in there. I have a couple of my own
squeakers.
I want to get in there, but I don't want to. I don't want to scare them. This is my first opportunity to get a chance to talk directly to Gozer, so I'm going to try to keep it on the straight and narrow.
I'll give him a hard time for you.
You can do it. You can do it. I'm not doing it.
So, is there anything else, or do you want to cover the poll?
Let's cover the poll. Let's see if we can get that answer.
So this is kind of interesting. So it was a couple of weeks ago I asked, why does Deep Space Nine observe a 26-hour shift? Now, they only make mention to it in just dialogue throughout Deep Space Nine, and I've always caught it a couple of times. I've done some searching. I believe this is the reason, but maybe you guys, if you guys have a different opinion, leave a comment in this week's show. But here we'll go. So why does DS9 observe a 26-hour day? 24% of people, this just warms my heart, voted because Bajorans can't count, and the DS9 crew is gracious about it. 29%, which was the number one vote, came in due to the distance from the Sol system. That maybe is true. I don't know. I actually was under the impression it was actually because the Bajorans have a 26-hour day, and so Deep Space Nine operates in the Bajoran system, and so therefore that's what their day is. I could be wrong on that. I don't know for sure, but it seems to be that 24% of people who watch Stoked and voted also agreed, with distance from Sol as a close second, and the third place goes to it's a matter for temporal investigations and it's classified. Not bad. All right, well, Mav, I think that's everything we got for this week's episode.
Yep. I'm looking forward to next week with Gozer and getting it out there with the loot drops and the STFs. And
definitely, those STFs are definitely a popular topic, especially amongst the people who are at VA. So we'll try to get some of those answers.
Yep, I'm still looking for more bugs, possible exploits, whether it be PvE, PvP, imbalance issues. Again, send us your emails, stoked@jupiterbroadcasting.com. We'll do what we can, get them researched, get them out there, get them fixed, so this way the game can progress the way we would like it to.
Right on. All right, well, thanks, Mav, and thanks, everyone, for tuning into this week's episode of Stoked. Be sure to come back here next week, live, Saturdays at around 10-ish a.m. at jblive.tv, or download it on demand in just about any format you want, and you'll also find the RSS feeds where you can subscribe to the show and get it weekly, so you don't even have to worry about it. Until next week, everyone, have fun, and make sure you get the bad guys.
Authorized visitors must report to the warden. Follow the blue line to Isolation Zone A.
He's still behind the field. Whoa.
Oh, that's right. Boom! Made it in.
Man,
Woo! I made it in. I am a survivor.
Zone A.
Whoa!
It actually looks like a prison.
Wow. This is pretty badass. All right.